Good morning. Hi guys. Hope you're having a good Friday morning. I'm in the consult room today with the heater on, even though this morning's not too cold, which is quite nice. Yeah, good change of environment. Hey Nicole, good morning. Hi Claire. Good to see you girls on board again. I wish I could see you soon, hopefully. So today we're going to talk about the best types of macronutrients, the best types of food. So very practical conversation today. Ultimately, this is about really giving you guys the practical information to improve your health and improve whatever goal you set yourself to achieve, whether it be an athletic goal or a performance enhancing goal or overcoming some form of health condition or illness type of goal, whatever it is. And it might just also be about longevity. I'm a big fan of, and I often say, this is about living longer and living longer well. Um, using good information around nutritional medicine to help us do that. So today, very practical session. Hope you've got your pen and paper ready. And we're going to talk about the three macronutrients, which we know are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Oh, sorry. There we go. Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. I'm going to start with carbs. So carbs, there's three different types of carbohydrates. We've got sugars, which are your sweet, short-chained carbohydrates, and they are things like that consist of glucose, sucrose, dextrose, galactose, and fructose. Okay, and then you've got what's called long-chain carbohydrates. And they are molecules that get broken down in the body, in the digestive tract. Okay, so different type. We've got short chains, which are your sugars, and then your long chain carbohydrates, which get broken down in the digestive tract. And then you've got fiber. Okay, so that's the third type of carbohydrates. Doesn't get broken down, however, your gut bacteria, so long as we've got a good gut environment, has the capacity to break it down and use it as fuel. Okay, so these sort of basic three different types of carbohydrates. Now, in the practical sense, what does that mean in terms of our food? So we've got good carbohydrates. Now, the short definition of good carbohydrates are whole, unprocessed carbs. Okay, so if it's whole in its original whole form and it's been unprocessed, it is of the better type and the healthier type of carbohydrate. So those are things like your sweet potatoes, bananas, brown rice, red and black rice. I'm a big fan of. You can only really get that at your sort of Indian type of ingredients shops. There is one in Geelong West that we tend to go to every now and again to get our red rice. The reason why red and black rice is better than your sort of brown rice, it has more minerals within it, and it is a lower GI as well. So it's of a better quality of rice. And legumes, another good source of whole, unprocessed carbohydrates, and dates as well. Okay, so when we're thinking about carbohydrates and we're doing our shopping, think about meals that are consumed with those good quality carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, your red and black rice. You might want to make some protein balls with dates in them. So thinking about your good quality carbs and how you can incorporate that into your meals. Other things such as quinoa, or often mispronounced as quinoa, but it's actually quinoa. Another good form of carb, again, whole and unprocessed. What else we got? We've got rye bread, as long as it's rye. Now, I know rye is potentially of the gluten form, but it is a very low, it's got very low amounts of gluten within it. So if it's 100% rye, it is still a really good form of carbohydrate. What else we got? Barley is okay, and buckwheat. So buckwheat's probably the better source of carbohydrate. So there's no gluten in buckwheat. I might do a gluten conversation in another week, and we can talk a bit more deeply about gluten. So when it comes to carbs, there are good forms of carbs. Okay, so I want you to start thinking about adding those kind of foods into your meals when you're doing your meal preps. Then we've got your bad form of carbs. Okay, so what's bad carbs? Well, really anything refined. So refined would mean that we've altered and stripped some of the nutrients and minerals from that food, which was in its whole form. Okay, so stripping some of the minerals and the nutrients throughout a refining process reduces the quality of the carbohydrates and reduces the impact that the health benefits that it has within the body as well. So, you know, no surprise, those are things like your soft drinks, your donuts, your pastries, all the really sweet, stuff that some people are going, all the yummy stuff. White flour, again, is really stripped and goes through a heavy refining process in order to get that white flour. So anything from white pasta to white bread, your pastries, anything made with white flour is going to be of a very, very low quality of carbohydrate and highly refined. The other form, so that's your sort of high GI kind of carbohydrates that are going to provide some really good energy for the brain function and for performance as well. Then you've got low GI carbohydrates, okay, and these are what I call super important for your meals when you're looking at your plate, and they're your fillers. That's your vegetables. Vegetables contain carbohydrates as well, but they also contain so much more than just carbs. So if you want to fill up on your different forms of veggies. So we've got what's called your starchy veggies, which are a little bit higher in your carbohydrates when we're sort of putting it on a scale. But that's things like potatoes, pumpkin, peas, squash, what else? Carrots even. Okay, still very good. And if we want to fill up, then fill up on vegetables. Then you've got your low starchy veggies, and they're all your leafy greens, anything broccoli, bok choy, spinach, celery, eggplant, any other vegetable is going to be of the lower starchies type, and it's still going to be very good for you because again, it contains more than just carbohydrate. It contains your micronutrients, which are your vitamins and your minerals. Okay, so again, thinking about our meal prep, adding a little bit of carbohydrates for energy and fuel, and filling up on vegetables. And however you want to cook them, as a stir fry, steamed can get a bit bland and boring at times. Cook it in a bake with eggs and meat, and we'll move on to protein and fats in a moment. But yeah, so thinking about what you can do in terms of meals and adding carbohydrates and good sources of carbs to your meals. Okay, so moving on to fats. Now, last lockdown, I did a talk on fats. So if you really want to understand the details of what's the difference between a saturated fat, unsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fats, and monosaturated fats, just refer back to that video that I did in the last lockdown. It should be listed in the media section on the Facebook page, and that'll give you a better understanding on good fats and bad fats. So for today, we're going to go through good fats, and I'll list some of the bad fats. So it's no surprise. Top of the list for me is avocado. Hi, Kay. So avocado, great to fight free radical damage in the body. So free radicals are basically toxicity in the body that are damaging our cells. And avocado has the ability to fight those any free radical damage in the body, and great for the skin as well. Okay, so avocado, top of the list, but this isn't in any priority order. But butter and ghee are excellent for omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Great for brain function and skin as well. So ghee is an old Indian form of fat. So Indians have used that for ancient years within their culture as their cooking oil. Okay, it's very good for you. Breaks down very easily in the body. Unfortunately, over the years, we started to develop things like margarine, which again has gone through that highly refined and processed process, which reduces the quality of the fat within the body. So butter, if it's grass-fed, preferably, and organic as well. Then we've got coconut oil. Easy for the body to digest. Now, I cook with coconut oil, but I also put coconut oil in my hair, on my skin. I use it pretty much as a moisturizer, and have done for many, many years now. So very good to also cook with. Then we've got extra virgin olive oil, another very good form of fat, preferred as a cold condiment. So you really use that as a salad dressing or a vegetable dressing. So again, if you're going to steam your veggies, to fill up your plate, tablespoon of olive oil, that's going to add your good quality fats to that, and then you can start to season it with some tasty herbs and spices, which we'll get into as well. So olive oil. Then we've got omega-3 sardines and salmon. Now, I know this is an acquired taste for a lot of people. Personally, I can eat salmon almost every day. I love salmon. And sardines as well. Hi, Donna. Sardines are excellent form of omega-3s. And again, if you refer to that video that I did in the last lockdown about fats, you'll get an understanding of why omega-3s are so important at the moment in today's society, as well as omega-6s, but we have a disproportion of omega-3 to omega-6 as a result of our food processing and farming over the years. Okay, so omega-3 is found in sardines and salmon. Of course, it needs to be of a good quality, so wild-caught salmon, not farmed salmon. Then we've got nuts and seeds. Okay, excellent source of fats. So I often get asked, are peanuts okay? No, is the short answer. So peanuts are probably on the lower end of these good quality fats in terms of nuts. The top end, so the top nuts would be almonds and walnuts. So if you're thinking about, increasing your fat content, because fat is so good for brain health and hormone production and all those things that we've spoken about in the past few weeks, then think about, nuts such as walnuts and almonds. And also, when it comes to seeds, your best quality seeds are going to be your flax seeds and your chia seeds. And I think I might have posted, there is a really good chia seed recipe on the in the album on this page. I think it's a breakfast recipe, but very easy to make. These are foods that are very easy to cook. And I'm no chef in the kitchen, so I like healthy food. So the healthiest food and the easiest to prepare as well. So they're going to be nuts and seeds. And then we've got, of course, eggs. Eggs contain protein and fats, great quality fats within eggs. Grass-fed beef. So grass-fed beef has got some good quality fat in it as well. MCT, so if you're on a keto diet, you'll be very familiar with medium chain triglycerides, which is similar to coconut oil, basically. It's the way the triglycerides, which is fatty acids, break down in the body. Very easy for the body to break it down and immediately use it as fuel, hence why it's very popular in the keto diet. And you may have heard of bulletproof coffee, or a bulletproof, bulletproof latte or bulletproof coffee. Basically, that's just a organic short black or long black with a, some people put a teaspoon of coconut oil because it's medium chain triglyceride, or you can actually get MCT oil, and some people put that in it. So again, easily breaks down in the body and immediately used as fuel, hence why it's very popular in athletes and the keto world. Full fat dairy. So full fat dairy, excellent form of fat. It contains all its natural enzymes. So the difference between skimmed milk and low fat is that, again, it's gone through some sort of refining or hydrogenation process, which strips the product from its minerals, particularly enzymes when it comes to dairy. Some people don't digest dairy very well, usually because of the casein in it. And I'm one of those, I guess. So I've been using goat's milk, again, as long as it's from a good source. It's very much easier to digest in the body. So that's another option to get some good quality fats within your diet or lifestyle. And then finally, I've got on the list dark chocolate. So great for antioxidants, protects us again from free radicals. So dark chocolate is not the old gold that well, I don't know about you, but my parents used to eat. We are talking about 70% of cacao chocolate, at least 70%. So you can get that now. It's quite readily available in supermarkets, and we are looking at two to three squares a day without overdoing it. So very good form of antioxidants in the dark chocolate, and using cacao powder. So another option is for hot chocolate at night is just use your cacao powder and sorry, lost my train of thought there, and hot water or your goat's milk to give yourself that chocolate fix. Okay, so they're your good quality sources of fats. Again, when you're meal prepping, think about, what do you like? Do you like your avocado? Do you like your salmons? Do you like your grass-fed beef? You like your eggs? And it's just a matter of, picking what you like from a fat perspective, picking what you like from a carbohydrate perspective, and creating, 3 or 4 meals per day that contains each of those quality food sources. In terms of bad fats, anything that contains trans fats should be steered away from, and that, anything that's refined and processed again. So when it comes to bad fats, look at the ingredients. I really encourage people to look at the package or anything that they've picked up that's in a box, jar, or packaged somehow, and look at the ingredients. If it has trans fats in it, put it down. Basically man-made fat that has absolutely no nutrient value whatsoever. So things like, your sweets, your biscuits, your chips and pastries and things like that. Takeaway foods as well all contain trans fats. Okay, so if you've got any questions, just pop them in the comments as we go and I'll get to them. Okay, so we're moving on to our protein, my favourite. So protein, as we know, our tissues, our muscle tissues, our organs, our hormones are produced and made from proteins. So basically to develop, grow and function, we need protein. We need amino acids and we need good quality protein as well. So there's a whole list of good quality protein, and again, it's just about picking what you like and then putting it on your plate. And you can look at that plate and go, yeah, I have covered every part of the macronutrient on my plate and providing my body with the best form of nutrition. So grass-fed beef, which I've already mentioned as part of fats, also has good quality protein. Organic chicken. So Leonica chicken is a very popular organic unprocessed chicken. You can get that from Ballarat Country Butchers from the Beestons in Queenscliff. They also deliver as well. The only reason why I mention that is because when I moved to Port Arlington, I found it very difficult to find Leonica chicken. I had to keep going to Geelong. So I think also now the butcher at Leopold sells Leonica chicken as well, and there's another one called Bannockburn chicken. So I find it very difficult to find good quality chicken in supermarkets. So that's the only reason why I mentioned those two places. Lentils, another great form of proteins. Wild-caught salmon, of course, good quality omega-3s as mentioned, but also protein as well. Eggs, eggs contains every single amino acid known. So if your best quality protein is going to be from good sources of eggs. Black beans are preferred again, but any other white bean as well. So beans are good, particularly for vegans. So your legumes and your beans are going to be great sources of protein. Goat's cheese, lamb, kefir as well. So kefir is basically just drinkable yogurt. It has an acquired taste to it, but it's cultured dairy basically, and it's very good for a probiotic. Has a lot of probiotics in it. I think it was Nicole, we had this discussion about tofu last week, and I was trying to remember. Tempeh is another form of soybean, very similar to tofu. It's just fermented a little bit differently. So tempeh has more of a nuttier taste than tofu, and the texture is slightly different. So if you are thinking of trying something different that's non-meat, non-animal source related protein, tempeh is a really good, tasty form of protein as well. Another acquired taste that's so good for you is liver. So liver contains vitamin A, vitamin B's, iron, very good source of those minerals and vitamins if you can stomach it. Has to be cooked very well for my liking anyway. But some people love it. And as I said, it's really high in vitamin A, B12 and iron. We've got cottage cheese on the list for protein. So that's got some good amounts of protein in it. And then some bone broth protein powder or bone broth itself. Now, bone broth, it is something that does take time to make. Basically, it needs to simmer for 9 to 12 hours, depending on whether you're cooking a chook or a carcass from a beef, or lamb, whatever it is. But When it comes to protein powders, there's a lot out there, and there's a lot with chemicals within them. So I'm very particular when it comes to protein powder. I do take protein powder myself to increase my protein quantity, but it is a very specific one, and I will look at ingredients within the protein powder and where the company has come from. So your New Zealand type of proteins are usually quite good as well. So and also there's specific bone broth protein powder, which is again usually of a higher quality source, if you ever wanted to look into that. So they're your good quality proteins. So again, it's just really about, okay, picking and choosing what do you like as a protein source this week, what do you like as a fat source, what do you like as a carbohydrate source, and, you know, putting it together. You guys know your total calorie energy expenditure now. You know how to split up your macronutrients. You punch these ingredients into the MyFitnessPal and it will calculate everything for you. So, you know, this is sort of how we start to, I guess, work towards our goals or just start to live a healthier lifestyle for ourselves. I haven't covered any bad protein, and there is. So bad proteins are basically your farmed and processed meats. So, you know, your salamis, your mortatellas, your prosciuttos, and all those processed meats that you find in the deli section and in the antipastos are going to be really poor quality of protein. Again, it's gone through some form of farming or refining and processing routine. Peanuts, which I mentioned earlier, a very low source, very low quality of protein. Certain protein powders, which I mentioned before, and protein bars are very tempting. It's better than your Mars bar, yes, but again, just like the protein powders, it does contain, or some can contain, some pretty crappy ingredients like those sugars that I mentioned in the carbohydrate section. You know, your sucrose, your dextrose, and things like that. So just be really mindful. We're not saying, you know, don't have them at all. We're just sort of identifying the good versus the bad, and we're aiming for 80 to 90% of the good in our weekly meals. Okay, so that's sort of the idea behind understanding your good sources of protein, fats, and carbs versus your not so good sources. And then once you get into the habit of just rotating your meats, one week you might go for organic beef, the next week you might go for chicken, the next week you might try tempeh. You know, once you just start sort of choosing and exploring every week something different, then you will get into that habit of food prepping using these types of ingredients. Now, when it comes to, a lot of people say, oh, geez, you know, it's not tasty. It's not as tasty as some of the other things that you buy in a packet. That's where really your herbs and spices come into play a lot. You know, we use oregano quite a bit, rosemary, turmeric, cayenne pepper, if you like spice, even paprika, apple cider vinegar, limes, lemons. You know, a lot of us around here grow our own, which is amazing. It's fantastic. That's what's really going to flavour the foods that you cook with. So, you know, don't be afraid to try different things. So for example, we make sweet potato chips and we put cinnamon over the top, sprinkle cinnamon over the top of them. You know, a lot of people have said, oh, I've never tried that, and it's delicious. If you like cinnamon, you most likely will enjoy those. Sea salt, of course, Himalayan sea salt is going to be great. Cumin, ginger, you know, start to fill your pantry up a little bit at a time with these kind of things, and then just play around with it. You know, every week, just put a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and see how it turns out, and you might surprise yourself. The other thing as well, when you're making stir fries, you can put some coconut milk, within that stir fry, and it, with some curry powder or something to sort of almost cream it up a little bit. There's lots of different things you can do to add flavour to the foods. So if you have any questions, I hope that's given you a good understanding and a good idea about different types of protein, fats and carbs. These sort of foods are really going to not only increase whatever goal or bring you towards your goal, but they're going to increase your health. Okay, we're talking about macronutrients and micronutrients that are there to improve your overall health and well-being. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. I hope you guys can see that, and I hope you guys find some of this information useful. And of course, I'm here if you have any questions, or if you want some more ideas, if there's things that you like or dislike and you want to have a chat to me about them, please, by all means, just give me a call or drop me a message. I think that's everything for today. So if you've got any other questions, pop them in the feed. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m, or most of you anyway, for our Super Saturday. And I'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, guys. See ya.